This is Omnivore presents SciDish, a podcast from the Institute of Food Technologists. In each episode, we take a deeper dive into a single topic shaping the future of food. Hosted by the editors of Food Technology, together with IFT members and subject matter experts, SciDish brings you the science, insights, and real-world perspectives that drive innovation, solve complex challenges, and connect disciplines across the global food system. Thanks for joining us. Let's get into the conversation.
This episode of Omnivore is sponsored by Co-Developer from IFT. Co-Developer is the first AI-powered co-scientist built by food scientists for food scientists and leverages IFT's 85 plus years of scientific excellence, accelerating your R&D processes and helping solve your toughest challenges. Learn more and book your free demo at codeveloper.ift.org.
Welcome to IFT's podcast, Omnivore Presents SciDish, our monthly deep dive into the topics that connect global food system communities to promote and advance the science of food and its application. This episode is supported by IFT's Co-Developer. I'm Julie Larson-Brisher, Food Technology Magazine's Science and Technology Editor, your host for today's SciDish podcast, where we're exploring how advances in agricultural technology and cold chain innovation can jointly unlock food security in underserved regions. We'll talk with Dr. Rohit Karnik from MIT's Abdul, Latif, Jameel Water and Food Systems Lab, or J-WAFS for short, about how their broader ag tech funding, from sensor networks to bioengineering, is helping to address hunger, climate stress, and supply chain fragility. And we'll also spotlight one of J-WAF's latest spinouts and decidedly cool ag tech solutions, nonprofit CoolVeg's solar-powered cooling technology. Dr. Eric Verploegen will share how deployments in Kenya, Nigeria, and India are reducing post-harvest losses, ensuring nutrition in underserved regions, and transforming the cold chain economy for smallholder farmers. Together, our guests reflect on both the cutting-edge science and the ground realities shaping the future of farm-to-plate systems in challenging environments. With that, I'm happy to introduce our subject matter experts for this episode of SciDish. Our first guest is Dr. Eric Verploegen, a materials scientist and international development professional who focuses on working with off-grid communities to implement an affordable, scalable post-harvest storage solutions for fruits and vegetables. Eric worked at MIT D-Lab from 2014 to 2023 as an instructor and principal investigator on numerous global development projects, and he is currently an MIT D-Lab affiliate. His team developed a training program for the wide dissemination of clay pot coolers and an innovative design for a forced air evaporative cooling chamber. We're also happy to welcome Dr. Rohit Karnik, Abdul Latif Jameel Professor of Water and Food in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at MIT, where he leads the Microfluidics and Nanofluidics research group. His research focuses on the physics of micro and nanofluidic flows and the design of micro and nanofluidic systems for applications in water, healthcare, energy, and the environment. As of 2025, Dr. Karnik also serves as the director of J-WAFS, where he leads J-WAFS's research agenda and priorities and supports proposal, review, processes, project oversight, and interactions with corporate partners. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much for hosting us today.
Thank you.
Now, let's dive right in. And I'm going to kick off by asking Rohit, can you tell us a little bit about J-WAFS's mission and activities?
Certainly. So J-WAFS, or the Abdul Latif Jameel Water and Food Systems Lab, is a research lab founded in 2014 through a major gift by MIT alumnus Mohammed Jameel through the family's philanthropic organization Community Jameel that advances science and learning for communities around the world to thrive. J-WAFS is part of MIT's Office of the Vice President for Research. And our mission is to catalyze MIT research, innovation, and technology for ensuring safe and resilient supplies of water and food. And we do so by funding research, supporting students, engaging with industrial partnerships, cross-institutional collaborations, and facilitating commercialization of research in the water and food space. We are also fortunate to be supported by industry partners and many generous donors. Since 2014, J-WAFS has distributed over 25 million in funding, which has supported more than 400 researchers across 40 departments, labs, and centers across MIT, generating new knowledge and seeding innovations that have led to more than 10 spin-out companies to address global challenges in water and food systems. More specifically, for clean water access, J-WAFS is supporting research on a variety of topics, including sensors, water purification, and water production, distribution, and management, to find solutions to our current water challenges and to ensure clean and safe water for generations to come. To ensure safe and resilient food supplies now and into the future, J-WAFS supports research on policy and technology innovations, supply chain interventions, food safety technologies, and more. For example, J-WAFS has also led the development of a global food trade vulnerability index called the Jameel Index to help policymakers and organizations anticipate pressures on the interconnected global food system and respond appropriately to ensure resilient food supplies. Today, there is little doubt that the Earth's rapidly changing climate is significantly challenging water, food, and agriculture systems around the world. In addition to changes in temperature, precipitation patterns, and pest populations, weather extremes are increasing in frequency and intensity as a result of the climate crisis. Taken together, these factors present extraordinary threats to water and food security for all of humankind. Therefore, it is a J-WAFS priority to fuel research and innovation that will help ensure the resilience of the world's water and food systems in the face of climate change.
You know, Rohit, I was looking through the website and I saw a lot of different really exciting and innovative programs and projects that you guys are funding. I'm wondering, what are some of the most promising tech research areas, that you're currently funding?
So currently, J-WAFS is funding a variety of ag-tech research, and I'll give you a sampling to get a sense. And it's a little bit like picking, your favorite children. So we fund these and support these because we believe in them. So the research spans both fundamental to close to application. So for example, Professor Darcy Macrose is studying how coumarin, which is a molecule secreted by plant roots, plays a role in enhancing phosphate availability for the plant. Or Professor Daniel Seuss is studying how we can engineer crops to obtain nitrogen from air. Professor Sherry Wang is combining satellite data with street view photographs to develop crop maps in India. Professor Hadley Sykes is developing new eco-friendly and low-cost biofungicides. Or Professor Karen Zheng studying how we can design incentives to promote long-term adoption of sustainable practices by smallholder farmers. A team led by Professor Jennifer Morris is studying the trade-offs that Africa faces in using land and food for water versus energy. Professor Cesar Terrer is performing a holistic greenhouse gas assessment of the agriculture systems and the implications on human diets. In addition to a lot of smaller projects, J-WAFS is also supporting two large multidisciplinary projects in ag-tech. Professor Matt Shoulders is leading a team to develop more efficient Rubisco enzyme. Now, this enzyme, Rubisco, is the key enzyme responsible for fixing carbon in plants, and it is also among the most inefficient enzymes and the main bottleneck for photosynthesis. So if we can improve this enzyme, it has enormous implications. Professor Voigt is leading a project that aims to study local soil microbes in Africa and develop microbial engineering solutions to naturally provide nitrogen to crops and thus increase productivity. So you can see that J-WAFS supports a very broad spectrum of innovative research in ag-tech. And some of J-WAFS supported ag-tech research projects have now advanced to commercialization. One example is research by Professor Kripa Varanasi on reducing pesticide use by making pesticide sprays stick better to plants. That research is now being commercialized by the agtech startup Axen. Another very impactful success story is a research project we funded that is now known as the nonprofit organization CoolVeg, which is also the subject of today's podcast. Looking back, I grew up in India, and so I have a little bit of a sense of the hard work and care that smallholder farmers put into growing their crops. And often, if buyers or appropriate prices are not available, all that effort is wasted and the produce perishes. That's a heartbreaking loss. And CoolVeg provides hope. That is why we were so excited to fund this research project, because it had potential to reduce loss by utilizing technology to preserve fruits and vegetables in hot and dry climates, and thus empower the most vulnerable but important smallholder food producers while improving food security.
Wow, that's great. And, I'm going to turn to Eric now. And, as Rohit just mentioned, Eric, CoolVeg is a J-WAFS success story. So can you tell us a bit more about how CoolVeg came about?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an honor to be a part of such a wonderful portfolio of projects from J-WAFS and MIT. And so I founded CoolVeg in 2022 as a spin out from MIT to increase access and adoption of technologies that are based on evaporative cooling. And we do this through collaborations with businesses, research institutions, NGOs, and government agencies. As a nonprofit organization, we make all the technologies we develop publicly available and open source in order to allow others to build on our work and reach as many people as possible. So J-WAFS has been critical for both the development of our technologies and the formation of CoolVeg. In 2017, I began investigating approaches for using evaporative cooling to preserve fruits and vegetables in off-grid communities, specifically in arid regions. This work was initially focused on clay pot coolers. They're very incredibly simple devices for household level vegetable storage. But we also saw a need for affordable solutions that can accommodate larger storage volumes required by farmers, farming cooperatives, and traders. Then we applied to J-WAFS for a seed grant to explore options for improving existing passive cooling technologies, such as charcoal cooling chambers. And during this project, we identified weaknesses in the existing solutions. We gained a better understanding of users' needs. We adapted the best features from a range of existing technologies. We came up with the idea of using a standard shipping container as the basis for a forced air evaporative cooling chamber that could store over 3,000 kilograms of produce. And we built a prototype at MIT for testing. After demonstrating the feasibility of this approach, we received a second J-WAFS grant, a solutions grant, to pilot and commercialize this technology with our partners in Kenya and India.
Well, how does this technology work?
Yeah, so it all functions through evaporative cooling. So this is when water evaporates away, it takes heat with it. Just like when you sweat, water evaporates from your skin and cools you off. So this requires less energy than running a conventional refrigerator, but it cannot achieve the same low temperatures needed to store things like milk, meat, or medicine. Fortunately, most fruits and vegetables can significantly benefit from the roughly 10 degrees Celsius drop in temperature, and they also benefit from the increase in humidity that evaporative cooling solutions provide. Our forced air evaporative cooling chambers use solar-powered fans to accelerate the cooling rate for large quantities of fruits and vegetables and increase their shelf life. None of the core principles that we're using are revolutionary, but the innovation of this technology lies in the carefully designed airflow pathways that maximize the cooling rate while minimizing cost and being tailored for use by rural farmers and vegetable traders.
We'll be back with more SciDish in a moment. But first, a quick message from our sponsor.
Meet Co-Developer, the AI-powered co-scientist from IFT that cuts development time without sacrificing scientific rigor. Co-Developer delivers science-backed considerations directly into your R&D processes and connects you with nearly a century of peer-reviewed research and published content to help address your biggest challenges. Visit us at codeveloper.ift.org to book a free 30-minute personalized demo and learn more about what Co-Developer can do for you.
And now, back to SciDish.
Well, now, how does strengthening the cold chain directly impact food security and nutrition in regions like Kenya or Nigeria, India? And what role is solar-powered refrigeration playing in making these systems, affordable and climate resilient. And I'm going to ask you one more thing. Can you share a case study where CoolVeg interventions have, significantly reduced post-harvest food loss?
Yeah, absolutely. So an estimated 50% of fruits and vegetables produced in sub-Saharan Africa are lost due to spoilage instead of being consumed. And this is largely due to a lack of effective cold chain. So strengthening the cold chain directly impacts food security and nutrition in these type of regions, whether it's sub-Saharan Africa or India. This is achieved by ensuring that food remains preserved from harvest to purchase by the customer, preventing food wastage and wasting money. Solar-powered solutions are both more climate-friendly than those powered by fossil fuels, and they're also more practical to deploy in remote off-grid settings. This allows people in underserved regions to have better access to nutritious foods that are more susceptible to rotting at a more rapid rate, including fruits and vegetables. The cooling chambers provide the greatest value in hot and dry climates, and they cost less than half of a refrigerated cold room and are 9 times more efficient in the pre-cooling of fruits and vegetables. So a few examples of where our interventions have reduced food loss. In Kenya, one of our collaborators, Stephen, is operating a shipping container-based chamber as a business, and he serves over 2,500 farmers and traders, allowing them to reduce food loss. Farmers and vendors using our new, smaller, portable chambers in India are reporting roughly 50% decrease in vegetable storage and saving them over $70 per week. Over 20,000 households in Mali, Niger are using clay pot coolers as a result of CoolVeg's training program, and 95% of these households report less food loss when using these simple devices.
Wow. Are there challenges, that need to be addressed to expand cold chain access in underserved communities?
There's a range of solutions that need to be put together in order to address the entire cold chain. There's not going to be any silver bullets. No one solution will be able to address smallholder farmers, as well as transportation, as well as large warehouses. So people have to come together to bring different technology types to fit each piece of the supply chain and each different user profile. Many smallholder farmers and vendors may not be able to afford purchasing a suitable cooling solution with an upfront payment. Providing financing using rent-to-own, storage as a service, or group ownership models have proven successful in increasing affordability and uptake in certain contexts. Community engagement, raising awareness, and building trust are key to building and keeping a customer base. CoolVeg always works with cold storage providers and other local businesses when deploying our technologies to achieve this.
So I hear in your voice, Eric, a lot of passion for this project. Where did the passion come from?
When I was doing a postdoc in solar energy, I learned that over 1 billion people don't have access to electricity. And this number just really struck me and stuck with me. And then years later, I decided to come to MIT and try to do something that could address this issue. And that's where I got into off-grid energy. And then when I learned about, I was working in Mali in particular, and I learned about the desperate need for improved fruit and vegetable storage technologies, particularly in these extremely dry regions like northern Mali. And seeing that need and then stumbling across the idea of that others have done with evaporative cooling, that's what got me into this. And yeah, anyway, I quit my job and now I do this.
So given that real need out there and the challenges that we still face in rolling out these kinds of innovative technologies, let's take a look at the crystal ball, if you will. So this question is for both of you. So going forward, what types of collaborations or policy support, maybe even business models, do you think are going to be critical to accelerate adoption of innovative agricultural tools such as CoolVeg, climate resilient cooling systems, and why? Let's start with you, Rohit.
So this is a big question with many facets, and I can offer a few thoughts based on my own limited perspective. So clearly it's a complex problem that requires engagement and collaboration at multiple levels. So first, we need collaboration with farmers and key stakeholders to ensure that research is appropriately directed and leads to transformative innovations that are actually suitable for implementation and scale. And this kind of stakeholder engagement is exemplified in Eric's research that eventually led to CoolVeg. So if Eric had not engaged with farmers and other stakeholders, then I don't think this kind of innovation is possible. Then we have policy, infrastructure, financial support is needed to help the most vulnerable farmers to thrive. So, for example, tools and collaborations for sharing farm equipment, promoting awareness of best practices and available tools and resources, access to resources, inputs required for farming and markets. All of these are important factors. In some cases, technology adoption requires regulatory frameworks and keeping them up to date as the technology evolves. And one important example here is biotechnology. In many cases, innovations may not be attractive to traditional investors because they may not necessarily lead to short-term profits. Hence, financing for promising new innovations that has a long-term view is very important. And there's different technologies and different situations, and they may all require different business models to scale. So for example, some of J-WAFS spin-outs are for-profit companies. CoolVeg is a non-profit, and we also have open source technologies. And to end, I would say it is the people who have the power to bring about change, the individuals. So it's so gratifying in this position as director of J-WAFS to see so many researchers and students in our community so passionate about making a positive impact on the world. And we have the support of the Jameel family, our community Jameel colleagues, our donors and supporters, the J-WAFS team, all working to help make the world a better place. And it is out of such an ecosystem that people like Eric and startups like CoolVeg emerge. And that, I believe, is what makes the difference.
So what about you, Eric? Where you hold up your crystal ball?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Rohit said. I'll just zoom in on for CoolVeg, how we look at things and, what we look for in partnerships and what's needed to move things forward. So, there's a range of potential partners, whether it's academic institutions for technology development agencies to catalyze new ideas and programs, private sector partners for commercialization, and of course, governments play a critical role in setting policy that is often impactful, and also bringing new technologies to scale through their various institutions that exist. You obviously don't need all of these partners in any given project or to bring any given technology to scale, but it's very important to try to identify which ones are best suited to make these things happen. Another piece that I think is really important is moving quickly from the lab and field testing to operating technologies in a commercial setting or however they'll be deployed at scale. This will reveal the strengths and weaknesses of a given solution, not only the technology, but the deployment approach. Having collaborators operating in the target communities who understand the local dynamics, have built trust, all this is critical for successfully testing and gathering feedback on ag tech solutions. And I can't forget to mention funding. Funding is obviously important for developing and testing and bringing these things to scale. And there's a whole host of things out there in the funding ecosystem. J-WAFS is a great example of a multi-stage funding system where you can go from an idea to commercialization and then beyond. I think the ones that are multi-stage are generally more attractive to small organizations like myself, whether nonprofit or for-profit.
Wow. Thanks so much, Eric. And thank you also, Rohit, for sharing your insights today with our SciDish listeners. We're definitely going to keep watching this space, and I hope to talk to you again, maybe later this year, see where you're headed. And listeners, you can learn more about J-WAFS at jwafs.mit.edu. That's jwafs.mit.edu. And CoolVeg at coolveg.org. That's CoolVeg.org. And speaking of cool tech in the food space, remember to visit IFT.org's co-developer webpage. Co-developer is the first AI-powered co-scientist built by food scientists for food scientists and leverages IFT's 85 plus years of scientific excellence, accelerating your R&D processes and helping solve your toughest challenges. Learn more and book your free demo at codeveloper.ift.org.
Thank you to our sponsor for this episode, CoDeveloper, your AI-powered co-scientist from IFT. To experience CoDeveloper's game-changing R&D capabilities for yourself, visit us online at codeveloper.ift.org and book your custom demo today.
And that concludes this episode of Omnivore Presents SciDish. Thanks again to our guests for another amazing discussion. SciDish is produced by the Institute of Food Technologists and the editors of Food Technology magazine. To learn more about IFT and how we convene global food system professionals to advance the science of food, visit ift.org. If you're not already a member, head to ift.org/membership to find your place in the IFT community. For more insights, ideas, and innovation, check out our sister podcast, Omnivore, on the News and Publications page of ift.org. Join us again next month for another timely discussion. This is Omnivore Presents SciDish.